And away we go. It is the Nightcap, brought to you by Hail Mary Sports Bar right here on BearcatJournal.com. This weekend, Westfest is back. After a 10-year break, Westfest is back, kicking off Friday, June 20th, rocking all weekend long. Guess what? Hail Mary Sports Bar is right in the heart of the action. The main outdoor Westfest stage, you guessed it, right in front of Hail Mary's. They've also teamed up with Triple J's Barbecue to bring you a mouth-watering restaurant experience all weekend. Get ready for some amazing barbecue, some amazing music. Remember, it's 21 plus to enter the bar. You'll need a physical valid ID to get into Westfest. Cool off with their $5 domestic 22-ounce drafts, ice-cold beer, and ice-cold air conditioning on what's supposed to be a pretty warm weekend here in the Natty. All that waiting for you at Hail Mary's. All right, Aaron, let's get this show on the road before the storms hit and knock both of our power out.
Oh, man.
I have done radio 2 days. I've got another day tomorrow. I just hosted the BCJ podcast. You're driving. Here's the keys.
Really, when we do these shows anymore, I don't feel like it's you driving. I don't feel like it's me driving. I feel like it's Ross Dellinger driving.
Ross Dellinger drives. Yeah, you're in the front. You're riding shotgun. Yeah, and I'm sitting in the back.
I got the map. the Atlas. Just an update here on this came out 20 minutes ago right now, real time. NIL Go Clearinghouse has received more than 130 third-party NIL deal submissions from athletes. Several remain under review, while many others have been approved. Some as quickly as what we're hearing within minutes. So NIL Go is not really messing around. If you can't feel good at this point if yours is under review, I wouldn't think.
Uh-oh.
Probably not a good sign.
That's like you're driving down the highway and you're going like 12 miles an hour over the speed limit, and all of a sudden you see a cop like hiding in one of those little spots, and you're like, oh boy, does he pull out or not?
You're just watching in
a mile. Does he pull out or not?
Oh man. Also, the CFP will begin player availability and injury reports starting next season. Now, is that just for the college football playoff, or is that for
I think so.
The entirety of the season?
Yeah, no, I think it's the CFP. Like, conferences have to decide that. The Big Ten has done it. I think the Big 12 is planning on doing it. But yeah, the CFP will have availability reports for this season.
CFP is doing it. Everyone should be doing it. Why do we have individual rules? It's so stupid. So stupid.
Because that's how college football is set up, one, and two, because coaches do not want to tell their opponent who's available and who's not.
So stupid. In any case, we also have this. We talked last night about the trying to have a new metric based on data analysis and what have you. We have a little bit more information on that from the CFP meetings, which, by the way, how about the fact that all of the Power 4 conference commissioners are there, except for the Big Ten, who's coming in remotely. Petiti is coming in remotely on these CFP meetings, which I feel like that's abhorrent. You have these meetings once a year. Just what else are you doing, dude?
Right. Show up. Are you in? Never mind.
In any case, with assistance from a Google mathematician and university math professor, the presentation included the creation of a strength of record metric to more heavily weight a team's strength of schedule, conference strength, and in particular, non-conference games. In fact, commissioners heard from experts who encouraged the scheduling of more crossover games among the 4 power leagues, a way presumably to provide more data points of rating the league's strength.
That's going to be interesting. How, if we do go to 11 at-larges, and they are going to weigh your out-of-conference, how willing is the SEC going to be to give up on some of these cupcake games, because they were always of the belief that playing in the SEC means we don't have to try hard in the
Means more.
non-conference because we're going to have 8 high-level games playing in the SEC, and that's all we want. And this is saying go to 9 conference games, and you better have 1 or 2 Power 4 opponents in those 3 games that you schedule on your own.
Which makes perfect sense, because how would you know? If they're only playing each other, you're cannibalizing essentially. And so, you may be the best in your conference, but you have no idea because your conference hasn't played anybody worth a damn.
Right.
Anywhere.
So
it's hard to really gauge. And truthfully, I hope they get away from the fact that doing this right at the beginning of the season when teams aren't up to snuff. You really don't get an idea if you're doing this right at the beginning of the season before you kind of have your legs under you, especially if you're playing with a new quarterback who maybe just transferred in. Just saying.
But the alternative to that, Aaron, would be scheduling conference games in those first 2 weeks, 3 weeks of the season.
Well, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. But if you're looking to try and make your move, I don't know. There's certainly pros and cons to both. I get it, but we'll see what happens. It's an ever-evolving thing. Maybe just have a schedule maker for, at the top when you put together your entire governing body for all of college football, which should have been in place decades ago.
I mean, there was talk of the Big Ten and SEC doing a scheduling alliance, and I think the SEC was like, "Nah, we're cool. Keep it."
I'm just waiting for one of these. They're going to challenge the other to a friendly duel with pistols.
Yeah, it's coming.
Drop the glove.
Hey, if you're wondering about my ability to read the room, how long have I been talking about these two entities do not operate in a fashion that allows them to work together? Like, since we've been doing this, I've been saying it.
It's oil and water.
It's not even that they don't like each other, but it's not even that. It's that fundamentally they see everything completely different. There's nothing that goes on that they see through the same lens.
No. In any case, the last story I wanted to get to, I think this one probably deserves a longer conversation than anything. This coming out of Florida. The Florida Board of Governors passed an amendment today allowing FSU and other state schools to direct $22.5 million auxiliary dollars per year to athletics. This money will be used to cover revenue sharing with athletes as part of the NCAA House settlement. This amendment will run through the end of 2028, and it will allow FSU to fully fund the new revenue sharing cap. The Board of Governors policy previously prohibited university auxiliary funds to be used for athletics, and that comes via warchant.com. Somebody in the comments here, Aaron Gogley, went on to say auxiliary funds, which come from areas such as housing, bookstores, and parking fees, previously were forbidden from use in athletics in an effort to keep state sports programs self-sufficient. But FSU and other schools asked for a 3-year reprieve while dealing with the financial strain of diverting tens of millions of dollars to athletes. There's a lot to take in there, but essentially, I understand where the state's coming from, wanting to not take money from other places at the university, because we all know how much you're talking about FSU. You're not talking about FAU, FIU. You're talking about FSU in particular, right here, right now, that's pushing for this. And I mean, granted, you're dealing with $20 million that you have to figure out where it's coming from. And I'm sure that you have all of that money allocated here, there, here, there, here, there. But you've got to fix your budget. Plain and simple. Yep. Fix your budget.
They don't want to. So they want to find ways. Essentially, they want to find ways. This is already a loophole, right? Like, that we've seen the AD at Iowa State talk about this. Like, we don't take subsidies. We've never taken subsidies, but we're probably going to have to take subsidies if we're going to survive in this landscape. This is what I talked about in the past when I've said Cincinnati's had a bit of an advantage here because they haven't spent. They've never had that money. So that money is not something that all of a sudden, oh no, we have to redirect 20 million. And look, Aaron, $20 million is a lot of money to redirect in an athletic department. That's a lot of jobs. It's a lot of people that you have to fire, a lot of things that you have to cut. And what you don't want to see is other sports, Olympic sports, being cut just strictly to fund revenue share.
I read somewhere that there's already been this offseason 32 programs around the country between all of the different universities. D1 Olympic programs have been cut. 32.
And it'll be more.
Sure.
If this continues on its current path.
It's going to be more regardless. Especially
because
now that we've seen Title IX become a thing.
That's not going to be a thing. I don't think it's going to be a thing.
It's been filed and in motion in the court systems. So we'll see what happens with all that. That was announced, I believe, yesterday. But you're going to see if that becomes a thing somehow, some way. Then I can't even imagine what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to come down to on that front. They're going to say who generated the revenue. That's who gets the most revenue. If you didn't generate a lot of revenue, then why do you deserve revenue share? You're not creating the revenue, so you shouldn't get the large, an equal share of the revenue, men, women, whatever. Now, where that gets interesting is like a place like UConn women's basketball or Nebraska volleyball. Kelsey, I don't know the validity of this, but she follows Nebraska volleyball very closely. She's told me before they've got $5 million that they spend on their volleyball roster. Like they just, how they just opened up 2027 recruiting on the 15th?
Yeah.
She said they've gotten like the 5 of the top 20 players in the 2027 class committed as soon as they got their official Nebraska offer. So like in that scenario, Nebraska women's volleyball deserves a larger chunk of the revenue share pie because they generate a ton more revenue. If you're able to create a women's sports program that produces millions and millions and millions of dollars, the players should get those millions and millions and millions of dollars. But as a whole, I don't think Title IX has a leg to stand on because for the most part, the women's athletics programs around the country are not generating tens and tens of millions of dollars for the university. So but that's neither here nor there.
Right. That's getting lost in the weeds a little bit. The larger point though is these universities are taking from wherever they can grasp at this point. If you're talking about parking fees and bookstores. Look, I refused. I still have every book I had in college because I refused to sell them back because of how bad they ripped me off buying those books. I had them in a trunk somewhere because I did not want $7 back for a book I had to pay $300 for.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
They overcharge you for the book and then shove it up your rear end on the back end.
The only books I do not have are those that I just gave to people because I did not want them to have to pay for these books.
Okay, yeah.
Again.
Ultimately, like I think UC does it the best you can possibly do it, which is just a straight like every student pays a sports fee, and that covers admission. Like it doesn't cost to go to any games. If you're a UC student, you can go to football games, you can go to basketball games, you can go to baseball games. Is every student going to take advantage of that? No, but you had the opportunity to. You know it up front. And you can decide whether or not you're going to go to that school. Are you really not going to go to a school because there's $600 a year, $300 a semester in an athletics fee that goes back into enhancing and improving your college experience? Like, I think that's the right way to do it. But
more so than
maybe they already have those at those places.
More so than parking fees and bookstore fees, because at the end of the day, those places are running on far smaller budgets when you're talking about the university security or when you're talking about the bookstore. They're running on far smaller budgets. And you start to take that money from them, what money are they using?
The quota Can you imagine parking illegally at Florida State?
$5,000. $5,000.
Right?
You parked in the handicap spot, your car got towed, and to get it out of the university impound is
we
10
doubled
grand.
your tuition. We doubled your tuition for this semester. You got to pay double to get your car out of the impound lot.
My car got totaled. What do you mean it got totaled? You didn't even get into a car accident. Yeah, but my car got impounded and it cost 10 grand to get a $2,000 car.
Totaled. We are underwater. That car is staying where it is, boys and girls.
Unreal.
What
are we doing?
But this is going to happen because, again, it's a lot of money. And, these places have had time now to know this was coming and to prepare for it. But it's hard to just make $20 million happen out of thin air. That's when everybody freaked out about the game moving to Arrowhead. If it means UC gets $2 million to move that game
extra,
and they still have 7 home games, and they're getting an extra $2 million, that's 10% of revenue share that you just paid for with one football game. Are fans pissed? Yes. But do you want to pay your players? Like, do you want us to keep up with what's happening everywhere else around the sport? Because if you do, shit like this is going to become commonplace so that they can put more money in the coffer for the revenue to be shared.
I imagine, especially at state-funded schools, as more state-funded schools try and figure out a way to get to the end line here, we'll continue to find out about situations just like this. It's not going to make me feel any better. I promise you that. I think it's gross, but this is where we are.
Where we are. It's going to wrap it up. We'll see you tomorrow night. That's the Nightcap, brought to you by Hail Mary Sports Bar, right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See ya!